Good evening and welcome everyone here to GTRC WTCC Round 3 Road Atlanta. Will Sutters will join me soon as we're now here watching at the free practice, the warm-up laps. Currently Tom Holland in the Suzuki Swift is the quickest on track, followed by Jono Mills. Who now jumped Tom Holland. We should get a pretty full grid on attendance. Will be again an interesting track. We have a few parts of the track where the front-wheel driven cars like the Swift, like the TT, might have an advantage here in this technical part. But there's also the long back straight, where the powered rear-wheel driven cars can counter, while Stijn van Hart has now the fastest lap. Ruben also in the chat, the championship leader. He got a new rival last week when Witchell, who is now setting pressure on Mills. Got good points. Now should be on P2 in the standings. Now he's P4 in the standings. Ashby in the Lexus is currently his biggest rival. 16 points down, but Ashby is leading the Tom Coronel Trophy for the best privateer. So let's see who's all in here. Kubinski currently the fastest, 124.3 in the Team Spirit Audi TT. Followed by the Phantom S Suzuki Swift by Tom Lipscomb. Stijn van Hart in the independent Hyundai Genesis, followed by Jono Mills, who's now losing the car in the Nexus Hyundai Genesis. Then on P5, Tom Holland, P3 in the Tom Coronel Trophy in the Privateer Swift. Then we have Ashby in the Privateer Lexus, Ruben Serrao, championship leader in the Halex Lexus, Lucas Wake, the second Phantom S Swift, Jake Witchell in the second Team Spirit Audi TT, Kieran Cavern in the second Genesis from Nexus Racing. Jordan van der Speck currently problems with an update, but I think we will see him in the qualifying here. And I think I heard something. Yes, Will Sutters joined. Hello Will, how are you?
Am I very quiet, or?
No, yeah, now I can hear you. I think your mic was muted or something.
Ah, there we go.
So let me quickly check who's missing. We're missing Vandersbeck. What we know is an update problem.
Issues. Yep.
We are missing Ridwan Hamza.
Again?
Yes, and I haven't seen a practice lobby, so maybe he's sleeping. Tyler Davison already told that it's possible that he will join race 2 and 3. And I think someone else is missing. Aston Lewis is missing.
I have a feeling he has just joined the lobby. No, he's there.
Okay, perfect. Oh yeah, now I can see him. And there we see one of the problems this track can bring. We have a really difficult pit entry, pit exit. So penalties incoming, and penalties, as we seen last week, can cost you a pretty safe win.
That is true. Tyler Davison losing a second win on the trot to Ruben Soraya on the last lap on the last corner. Very easy mistake to do at Watkins Glen.
Yes. So let's stay with someone who's doing a bit more consistent laps and not immediately backing out of track. Yes, and we have Wicho, currently the quickest, as expected, being one of the quickest.
Teammate making it P2 at the moment. He's only practice, but
it's an indicator. Now Sergio with the first quicker lap. The Privateer Lexus and the Hilux Lexus pretty close together. So 2 minutes till qualifying.
who do we think is going to take pole position then?
Well, it's difficult. Definitely Witchell is one of the favorites, as we see here. I think he's something about, yes, more than half a second quicker than the rest at the moment. The DT should be a really good working car here, and it has the advantage of the front-wheel driven cars, plus a really good top speed, as we saw in Watkins Glen. I think he will be the guy to beat, definitely.
Definitely. I think it's going to be close between the following 3 or 4, perhaps, with maybe Kubinski, Soreo, Ashby, and Van Hart as well, all up there.
Yeah, Van Hart is looking pretty good at the moment.
He's looking very good this week, isn't he? Yeah.
But also, even if he's here in the gravel, Tom Lipscomb again on a really good pace so far. He missed the Watkins Glen race, but on Interlagos he definitely showed there's definitely more potential in him than we saw in last season on the Sunset Outrun car. Maybe the Swift is just fitting him much better.
There seems to be quite a popular car. The drivers were discussing the fastest Group 4 car, potentially for the leagues. I don't know, but a lot of people bring up the Swift, saying it's got a good chassis.
The Swift has the absolute major advantage of his weight. It is just a really interesting line here from Lipscomb. Might be the shortest line, but definitely not the quickest. So far it looks like Witchell is the only one who might reach the 23s in the qualifying. I see in the chat Pekka is almost there. Hurry up, Pekka.
Might help if I actually set the lobby to have qualifying. Gives them more of a chance, I suppose, doesn't it?
"40 seconds," he's telling me. Or it is 2 or 3 minutes. I don't know if it's 2/3 of a minute or 2 or 3 minutes.
We'll leave it another minute. It's better than just having to set the grid all over again after qualifying.
Okay, it is 2 or 3 minutes.
We're gonna have to, yeah, but we'll have to start it then.
Is that we'll still allow him to race, but start from the back. He's loading in. But I think we're gonna start the qualifying.
Okay, everyone's all ready to go. Let's get qualifying on the way then.
We have to hurry a bit on the timetable as we have the third race.
That's true. Rerun of round 1, race 2. The reverse could be quite a controversial race, I think.
Yes, and interesting if Kubinski can take his stolen win. And you see immediately he had the pit exit. Ashby picking up a penalty.
Not off to a good start, is he? I think he's got the pace, but I think Ashby's been quite unlucky so far this season. I think he had a coming together in that last race as well in Interlagos with Kubinski, which threw a few issues. So the drivers make their way round on the formation lap. They'll be wanting to keep a bit of a gap between each other just to give themselves some space as to not catch up the car in front, who doesn't have to give the position in qualifying as long as they're on their own lap. There's John O'Mills there, blasts past Ashby on the back straight as he heads into the chicane.
So, but who's in front of him? It's John O'Mills, who's being the first one on a flying lap. So
Taking
nice
every inch of the circuit there on that last corner.
Turn 1 really difficult, as it's carrying the car really much to the outside line. And you see
this
that
corner here is probably the toughest one. Oh, go on. Slightly wide. I think that's going to get him the penalty. That's going to invalidate his lap.
Yes.
Look at that half second.
So Van Hart is the next one. But you see the guys in the heavier cars are really struggling here on the corners. I think Lipscomb behind him already catched up. Might now benefit from the slipstream.
There's the case. Now John O'Mills will start. He's going to have to give that place. He's not on a lap anymore. It's done and in the bin. Might be enough of a gap. Should be okay. And he goes again for round 2.
Van Hart 24.6.
There's be a second down on what Witcher was able to do in practice. Who comes through the final.
Kubinski in the 23s.
First driver so far.
Wake 25.8, Witchell 24.0. Maybe a bit stuck in traffic.
Keeps provisional pole. Ruben Soraya up into P3.
Already better than in his practice session. Same for Kubinski. Kubinski in traffic not improving. Let's see, Witchell seems to have clean air.
Might have a slight slipstream with a Phantom S car in front as well. Aston Lewis pulling to the side, letting them all go.
More than a tenth quicker than his PB. Ashby improved.
25-1. Jake Witchell runs final corner. What can he do? Can't quite better Kubinski. Got half length up on himself. Ruben Soraya
now on provisional
pole by just under a tenth.
Van Hart on P4. Really great race qualifying from him so far. Same for Tom Lipskamp.
Best of the rest by the looks of it, doesn't he? Chica struggling in the RCF.
Improving by half a second at the moment.
Move into the final chicane.
Could bring him in the second row. A little bit wide here.
Wide, a bit squirrely as he comes over the brow of the hill. Into the final corner. What can he do?
24.3. P4 at the moment.
P4.
Jake Witchell now with provisional pole.
23-7.
Sereo, the first one going for fresh rubber. Let's stay with Lipskamp as he's close to his PB.
Through this middle sector.
But already half a second down to Ashby. And we have Aston Lewis now with a 23.9, now on P4. So the fourth driver in the 23s.
More than just over 2 tenths, or just under, sorry.
And Lipskamp should not improve.
Just another driver I'm going to point out, Tom Holland. We haven't seen much of him today, down in P11. Although he does seem to be on a good lap so far.
And he looked pretty quick in the practice. Ashby improved to a 24.2, and now Holland 24.3, P7 at the moment.
Just over half a second behind the leader, Jake Witchell.
Top four are really close together, and then we have a little gap, and then till P7 there's a second group of 3 drivers.
As if that front bunch of cars is going to be scrapping with each other, they're just going to slow themselves down let that other group catch up to the back of them and have an even bigger pack of drivers.
3 on an outlap. Not that interesting at the moment.
Aston Lewis dropping it at the first corner, going back into the pits.
So let's wait for Witchell's second lap marker, if he can improve on those tires. It's purple by 300. So he might gonna finish this lap.
Holland with the 24 dead, up to P5.
And Witchell misses his fastest lap by 400.
Runs wide at the first corner as well. Don't think this lap's going to be the one.
Big one here from Tom Holland, but he catched it, but picked up a penalty. So I think we're gonna see him in the pits for fresh tires. Also Ashby now back on track on fresh rubber. Soreo first lap on new tires, not improving.
Tyler Davison as well, joining the lobby. He's going to be starting from the back. Jordan Van der Speck as well. Great to see.
Lipscomb dropped down to P8. Penalty for him at the moment. Then we have the Nexus Hyundais, who are not far off the pace, but really struggling with the car. Interesting, as they had the first pick, which are now for fresh rubber.
The last 5 minutes, there's going to be a few laps in that.
Soreo half a second down on his PB. So let's see if Kubinski can make the front row lockout for Team Spirit.
Really throwing the car through there. Look at that
But
powerful
it seems to be
first
quick.
sector.
Soreo in for another fresh set of tires.
That dragging the car out of the corner perfectly. Looks like he's finally got his head around his TT. He's definitely going to step up from last season, struggling in the M4. As he comes up to the second sector mark. How's it looking? He's 2/10 down.
Interesting. I really haven't seen where he lost the time. Kieran Kevin improved to P8. Aston Lewis in the barrier missed turn 1. This is not how to rejoin in the qualifying, I would say. 3-second penalty for Holland. Pit entry or exit. Can Ashby improve? Yes, but not big enough to jump Tom Holland. So we still have the top 4 in 200.
And then the top 7, and just under half a second as well.
Lipscomb improved, but only got closer to Kieran Kevin. Lucas Wake on his outlap.
Shall we go on board and see what he can do? That very nice line through turn 1. very slightly wide there. Car gets a bit squirrely on exit.
It's really interesting. It's the second week in a row that we don't see the times on lower fuel really dropping. Well, I said this, Witchell is 3/10 purple.
The absolute stonker of a lap, I can tell, unless he runs slightly wide, which he does. Is that going to lose him any time?
Should still be good enough to extend his lead. Yes, but only 12 thousandths.
Which was flying, look at that. Every inch of the track into that first corner, really throwing it over the curb there. Little bunny hop as he drops down the hill through the S's.
Sereo 3/10 down on his PB. Will have to set everything on his final lap.
He's got one more shot.
Kubinski almost on the sector 2 line. Just 1/10 down to his PB. Kieran Kevin now.
23.9.
Brilliant lap from him. Wasn't expecting him to be in 23s. Kubinski improved 15 thousandths, still on P3. So now we have the top 5 in 210th.
Aston Lowe's getting caught up behind one of the Nexus cars through that first sector, bit of contact. He's not going to be too happy with that. Jake Witchell with a 23.4. Wow.
And he still has one shot.
Look at that, perfect timing. Oh, no. Just dropped into the pits.
This seems to be enough from him. Sereo 7/10 down. Will not improve. So now it's
Still Dominik Kubinski, perhaps. Last chance. He's going to get a good toe from Lucas Wake down the back straight. So they're getting closer to the sector 2 timing line.
And he only needs to find 800s.
He's down 2/10. I don't think he's going to get it.
Kevin not improving. Tom Holland already done with his lap. Van Hart improved, but only got closer to Ashby. And so we have Jake Witchell on pole, we have Ruben Sereo on P2, Kubinski P3, Aston Lewis as the best privateer on P5. A bit surprised, Kieran Kevin on Aston Lewis on P4, Kieran Kevin on P5, Tom Holland on P6, P7 for Stein van Hart, Ashby on P8, Lipscomb followed by his teammate Wake, P9 and 10, Jono Mills on P11, and then I think Davison joined before Vandersbeck, so it should be Davison on P12, Vandersbeck on P13.
Alright, now I've got to set the grid. I'll get this sorted. Just got to wait for everyone to enter now.
Let's hope they do it quick and no one is sleeping or on toilet.
Just waiting for Jake Witchell now, who is literally the first guy I've got to set up the grid. There we go. Alright, there we go. Okay, Kubinski, followed by Aston Lewis, followed by Kieran Kevin, Tom Holland behind him. Stein Van Hart. And then Ashby. Followed by Tom Lipscomb, who is the first of the Phantom S cars. And John O'Mills. And then it was Tyler Davison and Jordan van der Speck. Is that the right way round?
Yes, Davison joined the lobby first.
Awesome. Right. 13 cars. This is going to be a good one. Let's get the race underway. I have a feeling it's going to be Ruben Sorreo leading into turn 1 with a rear wheel drive, and they're on the racing line too, so he's going to have more grip.
Yeah, definitely an advantage, but if they go side by side through it, it could be difficult.
Dominik Kubinski jumping the start, and Ruben Sorreo as well.
Also jumped the start.
Kubinski getting an absolute lifesaver bump by both Ashby and Kevin, which was going to lead into turn 1. Lewis is going to get the cutback. And Kieran Kevin up into P3.
So Ashby a little bit wide here. So now he's back on track. So it's a 1-2 for Team Spirit, followed by Aston Lewis, Stein van Hart. Kieran Kevin kept his fifth position.
Tyler Davison with a very solid start. Starting second to last, all the way up to 7th. Jordan van der Speck overtaking Ruben Sorreo. I'm not sure what happened to Ruben.
Maybe jump start. It looked a bit weird because he looked that he's going a bit sideways on the start.
Dominik Kubinski in the wall. Dropping like a fly now. Aston Lewis, Stein Van Hart, Kieran Kevin, Tom Holland piling past him on the back straight. Tyler Davison as well,
Also
making that
Davison,
6
yes.
positions. As Tom Holland goes over to the left side to block him.
Better brakes here on the Swift. And Witchell already 1.8 seconds clean.
Oh, look at that, Stein Van Hart going wide into the barrier at turn 1.
There's one of the... It's John O'Mills in the barrier as well. Oh, there are 3 cars in the barrier. Van Hart, Van der Speck, and John O'Mills.
I must have missed that one. That might have been quite an accident. I don't think that's going to be the start of the race that Jordan van der Speck wanted.
Aston Lewis slightly catching on Witchell.
Tom Holland breaks late, lets Tyler Davison through. Which means Jake Witchell's going to be really pushing now.
Tom Holland weaving on this penalty.
Ruben Sorreo and Ashby going side by side into the chicane.
Lexus versus Lexus.
Great racing between the two.
And Ashby lost the traction on the grass, so he won't be able to counter it. But Tyler Davison now setting big pressure here on Kieran Kevin.
Aston Lewis as well into the wall. Another car at turn 1. That's 4 drivers now in the space of 3
and
laps.
Ashby both great dodge. And this brings Kieran Kevin on P2 at the moment.
Driving absolutely heroic. Keeping Tyler Davison behind.
After his mistake, already back on P4. Witchell now 4 seconds clean.
He's going to need it. Look at this. Tyler Davison is absolutely flying at the moment. Bit squarely out of there. That Tom Lipscomb as well, all over Dominik Kubinski. I don't know whether the pole made a mistake, but all over the back bumper. Don't know whether he's going to bump draft him. Bear in mind, Team Spirit and Phantom S are sister teams. Harley Davidson has a look at Kieran. Kevin, is he going to go for the dive? He does. But runs slightly deep, makes himself quite vulnerable, heading over the brow of the hill through the final corner. Kieran Kevin's going to try to get the cut back, but Tyler Davison positions that beamer absolutely perfectly. Makes him stick to the left-hand side.
Side by side.
Kevin was never going to make that move, and another car running wide.
It's Kevin. Catch the car, but lost 2 positions. So Lipscomb and Kubinski now on P4 and 3.
Well, 1 second penalty for Kubinski, which puts Tom Lipscomb up into 3rd.
And now it will be interesting what lap times Tyler Davison can set compared to Winchell. Back in the grid, Jono Mills, big drift here, followed by Jono van der Speck. No one pitted so far. Van Hart, after a great start, great qualifying, dropped down to P11.
Kubinski, Tom Lipscomb almost driving into the back of him. He does go up into P3 like we said, and if he wants to keep that up until the end of the race, he's got quite an uphill battle. He's got Kieran Kevin, who's on an absolute stonker these first few laps, followed by Rubens de Rayo, only driver to win 2 races so far this season. Kubinski, Ashby, Lewis again, early pit stop like we saw last week.
Kevin against Lipscomb. Showed himself in the mirror, but not went for the move.
Guarding his time, being patient, piling the pressure on. Tom Lipscomb doesn't seem to be making any silly mistakes. Getting slightly wide, is he going to get a penalty for that?
Yes, half a second penalty. And these guys behind. Sereo wide here, lost the position against Kubinski.
I think there was slight contact there. Kubinski was side by side, but don't know whether he ran deep or Sereo tried to cut him off.
And this could be a really painful penalty for Lipscomb now.
He moves offline like he's supposed to. There's just enough space as the car piles past on the left and right. And this is gonna 3 into 1 never works. I know that. Look at that, Tom Lipscomb already trying to get back past Ashby. Puts his nose in.
Ashby's going for the pits.
Another early stop. Is he going to take tyres or is it just fuel?
Lewis stayed on the same tyres. In my eyes, a mistake here.
Oh, Kubinski, turn 1, another car wide.
Hit the barrier.
He's going to be kicking himself for that. Kieran Kevin up into P3 then. Ruben Soraya up into P4 after a not too good start. All over Kieran Kevin like a rash. As they head into the middle sector.
And Lewis wide. Lost the position against Ashby, who was in the pits as well, with fresh tyres. And Davison is not gaining.
It was literally, just took the words right out of my mouth there. Gap is still staying around 5.3 seconds, 5.2.
But let's see who will be first in the pits. And is Davison staying on old rubber? He did it last week. Worked pretty well for him. And there must have been a mistake from Winchell, 24.1. Kevin, Sereo, Lipscomb in the pits. So now Lucas Wake is on P3.
Tyler Davison, I think, is going to go penalty for that. Running very wide out of the S's. Of a second.
Yes, penalty for him.
Jake Butchell is going to love that. Again, Davison running slightly wide.
Kevin, 3-second penalty out of the pits.
Doesn't surprise me. I thought he'd cut the line on entry.
And it seems that Ashby's undercut worked pretty well as he's almost on Sereo's rear. Who should be provisional P3 at the moment. Lipscomb back on track on P11. Everyone yellow flags.
Jordal van der Speck spinning. Jake Witchell into the pits. Tyler Davison follows.
Davison slightly better on fuel.
But he may have been fuel saving in an attempt to.
This is the old tires.
Down.
I think both are staying on the tires.
Not too sure. Let's find out. Yep, Jake Witchell on the old rubber. He's learnt from his mistake last week.
Also, Davison. And now Tom Holland, the provisional leader.
Still a pit stop behind Witchell, who has a 3-second penalty, cutting the entry line or the exit line.
And this will make things really, really interesting in the end. Davison should be able to close up, as the gap is only 4 seconds. And the BMW should be better on tires than the Audi. Ashby now ahead of Sereo.
The net P3, don't think he's got a podium so far this season. He's always come within an inch, but hasn't quite got it.
I think Interlagos race 2 would have brought him to the podium.
Would have been a P2. Could have been P1 though, if, like I said,
and
there was
Davison's pass.
Doesn't surprise me. Jake Witchell isn't one known to give up though. It's always quick. It's always better to be the chasing driver than the lead driver. Less pressure.
Now Tom Holland in the pits. What brings Ashby on P3?
Not necessarily. It's going to be quite a close one. Yep, Ashby P3. He's going to come out just behind Aston Lewis. Nope, tell a lie. Kevin. I really misjudged that. Blimey.
Yeah, the pit exit is really, really long.
Look at this though, just watching the top two. Jake Witchell already gaining 2/10 on Tyler Davison.
So these two guys will sort the win out tonight.
12 seconds clear of the next car, Ashby.
Then we're gonna have a three-way fight between Ashby, Sereo and Lewis for the final spot on the podium. And also, if Lewis can keep the pace of the Lexus, he and Ashby are fighting for the Tom Coronel Trophy. Sereo now with the better exit.
Has to revert to the outside line, the slower line. Ashby all over the place, ducking and diving to the insides. Oh, Sereo off from the undercut, and look at this. Aston Lewis, can he go around the outside? Bit of contact. Oh, what a move. Bit of contact causes the car go into a slide, managed to hold it and take the position.
A really great catch.
And there's Kenny Ruben Sorreo back on him. Pulls the dummy, goes to the inside.
It went
can never outbrake a
wide.
front wheel drive car though. It's not going to work. He's going to have to wait for the back straight. Then squirrely. As it goes side by side up the hill.
And now the advantage of the V8 engine over the Scirocco.
Has to go to the outside, knows that that's not going to work.
But this little battle gave Ashby a 2.5 second gap.
He's got it in the bag now. I don't think he's going to catch the leaders though, and that gap at the front back up to 2 seconds.
2 seconds is...
I think the tyres for Jake Witcher are finally starting to die off.
While Davison is still doing purple sectors. Kevin still on a great P6. Van Hart under pressure from his team boss. Kubinski on P9. Will definitely not be happy, same for Lipscomb. Great first half of the race. Jordan Vandersbeck, same. A lot of mistakes. P11 for him.
It's going to result in a second row start for the reverse grid though.
And I don't know what happened to Lucas Wake. He's definitely not on the pace from his qualifying. A lot of crash marks on the car as well. And Witchell is now back ahead of Davison.
What on earth?
Davison with a 28.3.
Oh, big problem there. Losing 5 seconds.
Way too big for a penalty that you can catch on track. So must have been a bigger mistake. And now Witchell has to get everything out of this used rubber. You see, compared to Davison's, the front tires have almost a double wear. Lewis again ahead of Sorreo.
Side by side. He's going to block off the inside line from Lewis. Again Ruben
wide here.
Outbraking himself. Going side by side again, but as per usual, I think the RCF's going to come into its own soon. And there we go, gradually getting the pull on him. Osbaldeston tries to push him over to the left side of the track, more door-to-door contact. Brilliant racing from these two.
Bit more aggressive. And Davison is back in slipstream range. So brilliant to see that we have fightings for positions all over the place. While Ashby now is pretty secured for his first podium.
There's Davison, purple first sector. Not what Jake Witch was going to want to see.
And now he's in his gearbox.
Over the back of the TT. Is he going to go left? Is he going to go right? Let's find out. He goes for the inside. And Jake Witch will pushing him over to the left.
Brilliant overtake here from Davison. Back in the lead.
Although, but we're going to go through the first sector again, the strongest point on the circuit for the TT. As Tyler Davison ducks, dives and dodges to get Witchell out of his slipstream. Witchell's not going to give up. From my own experience, Witchell's got the best racecraft of anyone on the grid. Davison running slightly wide there.
Brilliant sector here from Davison.
I think that's it settled. I think Jake Witchell's going to struggle now. He's not going to get into that slipstream.
Witchell really wide here. Lost a lot of momentum for the main straight. Serrao with a 1 second penalty. What will definitely bring Aston Lewis back ahead of him. Kubinski up to P6. A lot of Team Spirit cars here between Kubinski and Cavern, and Cavern must have had a big one. He dropped down from P6. Davison won the race, Witchell on P2.
Less than 1.2 seconds between him. Ashby coming home to take P3's first podium of the season.
P4, Aston Lewis. Ruben Serrao, P5.
Kubinski P6. Van Hart, Tom Holland and Lipscomb in close succession. 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th.
I'm wondering what happened to Kieran Cavern. He was in lap 13 on P6.
First corner did catch a lot of people out over the race. It could have been something
43
again.
is 17 seconds that he lost. Lucas Wake finishing P13.
Finishing up the grid and taking that reverse grid pole. .11 positions gained there for Tyler Davison.
Brilliant job from him. Could bring his performance from Watkins Glen also here on Road Atlanta. Gonna be back in a second.
Let's set this grid then. So it's going to be Jordan van der Speck, I reckon, is going to be the one to beat this time out. He's only got John O'Mills and Lucas Wake behind him. There's going to be Lucas Wake on pole, followed by John O'Mills. Jordan van der Speck, the only champion left on the grid. With Kieran Cavern alongside him. Tom Lipscomb as well on row 3. Tom Holland alongside him. Van Hart and Kubinski. The first of the 2 Spirit cars. Sobrano and Aston Lewis. There we go. With Tyler Davison and Witchell finishing up the grid. I think we'll give the drivers just a couple of minutes to calm down from that first race.
Yes, we saw another brilliant race this season. Turn 1 was definitely a race killer for a few guys. And in the chat I can see the reason for Sereo's jump start. Pulled the handbrake, but it didn't work. He won't have the problem in race 2.
Hope not. It would be great to see him up there alongside Davison and Witchell. Ashby as well, potentially strong in that reverse grid at Interlagos.
I mean, if you pull the handbrake on a rolling start, you're definitely fucked a bit more.
A few drivers now to enter. Still no sign of Ridwan Hamza though. Shame to see.
Yes, unfortunately, it would be interesting to have a guy on his pace level in the grid. But I think as more races he's missing, the chances that he will race are getting lower and lower, as there's no chance for him to get the championship.
Same thing happened last season though, wasn't it? Absolutely dominated the first few rounds. With I think it was only Tom Holland at Willow Springs able to take the victory.
Yes, the chaotic race on Willow Springs.
Good fun that was until I got taken out. And suddenly just disappearing. I think he felt ill for a few weeks. Since then, just it was Jason Grant picking up the pieces and almost given the championship with Witchell missing a few rounds. Ruben Serrano doesn't miss him.
It's a bit of a trauma for him. It's a bit like you and Aaron. If there's a guy you can't beat on track. So we're about to start with Lucas Wake on the pole.
It's going to be quite a chaotic one. We're going to have the back of the grid downhill as well at the race start, so they're going to have even more of a boost than they normally get. It means it's going to be a pile of Group 4 cars heading into Turn 1. Could be more chaos as Lucas Wake brings the pack up round the final corner. And there we go, John O'Mills. Great start. Already catching up to Lucas Wake. Is he going to stick his nose in the first corner? Let's find out. He does. Has a look. Bides his time. But Jordan van der Speck now piling up onto the back of him. Has a look. Again, thinking better of it. These guys know that there's still another 13 laps to the race left. Is Ruben Serrano, first casualty of the race, down in P13 with a 7-second gap almost.
Like he went right yellow flags.
And another Phantom S car backwards. And Kieran Kevin as well running wide, may potentially contact between the two. Not the start they'll want to have. But Lucas Wake seemingly running away now. Not very long there, Jordan van der Speck. Getting squirrely and in the barrier. And the back straight. Again, he is going to be fuming with that. The two Halex cars at the back. I don't think that's going to be what you want to see, Dominik, but...
Shit happens, I would say.
Just look at that. Kabinski goes round the outside of John O'Mills into turn 1. He again sticks his nose in. Contact between the two. Tom Lipscomb drops out of the race. Kabinski with a cut back. Look at that textbook move. Tom Holland as well. John O'Mills is going to be going crazy with all these Team Spirit cars surrounding him. Lucas Wake running wide at turn 1. This is going to cause some issues as he rejoins the track.
Kubinski now in the
tries
lead.
to stick out of the way. Good job from him. Sportsmanship. What we like to see is Ashby as well, and Jack Witchell.
Followed by Tyler Davison.
Everyone practically
Kevin
tripping over
out
each
of the
other through
lobby
that first
as
sector.
well. Well, Stein van Hart passed Tom Holland.
This is falling into Dominik Kubinski's lap. Although Dominic Ashby, just Ashby? There's so much is happening, I don't even know what I'm saying at this point.
Witchell ran a bit wide, lost 2 positions against Davison and Wake. Is now back on Davison's rear.
Well, he's on his side now as they head into the chicane. The best overtaking spot on the track. Contact between the two. And even more chaos is Van Hart and John O'Mills.
Mills wide. Van Hart in the gravel. Mills back on track.
Lucas Wake, and it's Witchell past. And there's Hunt to catch up that BMW.
That brings Tom Holland on P2. And Davison and Witchell after just 3 laps, or 2.5 laps, on P3 and P4. Tom Holland really wide here.
Is he going to stick to the right? Oh, yep, he moves across. Which is Tyler Davison. And he's going to let Jake Witchell past.
Sereo made it back to P7. Van Hart after the incident on P8. Ashby P9. Aston Lewis 11. Van der Speck on P11. Kubinski already 4 seconds ahead of Davison and Witchell. Now a bit wide here.
Just like race 1. Witchell's going to be really pushing. I think there's going to be a bit of teamwork going on. If he can, Witchell's going to slow down that FR Bono Racing BMW.
Lucas Wake back on P5. John O'Mills now getting the pressure from Ruben Sereo.
Dominik Kubinski though, half-second penalty.
That should close the top 4. I think he will lose about a second, maybe a bit more.
That gap's really going to drop, I think. Tom Holland as well falling back.
So now he lost a second.
That gap really closing up now. Tyler Davison going with an early stop. Copying Aston Lewis and thinking that he's going to get a good undercut.
If you don't change tyres, it's definitely an option. And he's just refueling. And Witchell, after the penalty, only 1.8 seconds behind his teammate. Holland not able to keep up with them. Jono Mills had a bigger mistake. He was 128.7 in the last lap and a 1 second penalty. Lost a position against Serrao and Van Hart. Davison back on track on P9.
Just ahead of Van der Speck and Aston Lewis, who has already pitted as well. Dominik Kubinski with another penalty, 1 second.
So this will definitely be a change of the lead. Really late move here from Witchell. Top 3 staying out. Serrao, the next one who's going to the pits. Also Jono Mills. I think Serrao just went for fuel.
Out as he slowly rolls his way out of the pits.
No, tyres and fuel.
I don't think that was a very wise move. Just going to go back up to P8 and 9. Jordan Van der Speck under a lot of pressure from Aston Lewis. Van der Speck being very squirrely as he go over the brow of the hill. Aston Lewis has a look at the right hand side of the circuit, which turns into the inside.
Now Lewis will have clean air as Van der Speck has a half-second penalty.
Van der Speck as well, bumping him just before. Ashby as well, dropping into the pits along with Van Hart, who I have a feeling cut the entry line.
Mills definitely did it. Fresh tyres for both.
Tyler Davison really pushing. 2 wheels on the grass there as he swings into turn 1. That gap at the front there staying around 22.4.
Van Hart and Ashby really close together, back on track. Mills now ahead of Van der Speck.
He has a 3-second penalty on the line.
Not the first time this season.
Gap between Tyler Davison and
Both
Witcher. I've been
two-spirit
keeping
car.
an eye on it. Should be 22.4. Davison catching almost half a second. Let's see, where is this going to bring him in comparison to Jake Witchell? He hasn't had much traffic to deal with. He's had a lot of clean air. Find out. Witchell already making his way to the pit exit, but as we know, that is quite a long process. Tyler Davison swings it to turn 1, and I think he is going to have the lead.
Yes, he's in the lead. Aston Lewis. Oh, he went wide. It could have been a P2
Aston
for
Lewis
him.
into the wall. He's got his work cut out for him.
He definitely would have jumped the whole Team Spirit pack. Drift here from Tom Holland, half-second penalty. And Davison is almost 7 seconds ahead of Witchell. But Witchell, fresh tyres. Also Kubinski.
Well, then that's going to work for him. We won't know until the very later stages in the
picked
race.
up another penalty.
Really pushing that Suzuki. Lucas
Both
Wake
on
as
old
well.
rubber.
And Aston Lewis.
Could become an advantage for Serrao in the end of the race. Out of Endersback, another penalty. And it's Jono Mills who's the only one he has to fight on track. Oh.
It's going to be a night to forget for Jordan.
Contact here between Ashby and Van Aert. Van Aert in the barrier around on the main straight. Looked a bit aggressive here from Ashby on the inside line.
It's going to be one to send to the stewards. Well, steward, well, me.
Not jealous.
I think I'm going to have some fun tonight. I need to look at is Jake Witchell and Dominik Kubinski, both with 5-second penalties.
And they are not gaining on Tyler Davison. Aston Lewis catching up to Tom Holland with Lucas Wake in his tow. Serrao still 2.5 seconds behind. And a third 23.2 as fastest lap from Davison here. It's absolutely flying.
That is the fastest lap we've seen so far this evening. Even beaten, that's enough for pole.
On race pace, on worn tyres.
On probably more fuel as well.
Followed by the Team Spirit cars, who definitely closed the gap to Helix Racing. But Witchell also very, very fast on track. Purple in sector 1. But without a major mistake of Davison, he won't catch up this gap. Serrao now with the better exit.
I don't know whether Wake went slightly wide, got a bad exit.
Also Lewis dropped.
Some good news for Ashby. But with Ashby's going to fall back from a penalty, post-race penalty. We won't know. Lucas Wake has a look at Ruben Serrao, but isn't going to make the move. I don't think he was close enough.
Was really late under the brake, but it's definitely possible with Swift.
There's a whole lot less car to slow down when you're driving a Swift compared to a big V8 Lexus. Is he going to have a look into turn 1? He does. He has a look. Again, pulls out of it.
Vandersback and Van Aert battling for P9.
This is going to be quite a good one, I think. Van Aert on brand new rubber. Vandersback on the tyres he's had since the start of the race. And bear in mind he's has a few calamities, a few spins on those, so they're going to be more worn out than they should be.
So I think the top 3 are sorted at the moment. Davison is 9 seconds clear to Witchell. Kubinski is not on the same pace as his teammate. Tom Holland had to burn a 1-second penalty and is already 7 seconds behind the podium. In his rear, Serrao is now catching up on fresh rubber. We would compare the lap times, but I know that Holland had the 1-second penalty. But Serrao on PB.
Let's go back to Van Hart and Van der Speck, the two Dutchmen, side by side. Van der Speck goes down the inside of the chicane, makes the move stick. Van Hart going to have slipstream through this first, through the start-finish line into the first corner. Is he going to take a look? He does. Pulls out the slipstream. Pulls back in, makes Van der Speck aware that he's still there, and Van der Speck spins. Van der Speck again, another mistake so far tonight, into the wall.
This gives Jono Mills P10.
This is not the Van der Speck we know. He's really struggling tonight. And I think he's going to get stuck behind those boards as well.
He's got the reset.
He's having an absolute nightmare tonight.
And Davison still consistently in the 23s. Look at these times. 23.6, 23.6. Now the first 23.4.
There's just no stopping him.
And Kubinski is closing up to Witchell. Witchell with the 125.4. Kubinski with a 123. So gained more than a second on his teammate. And Serreo is now attacking Tom Holland.
Let's go side by side into turn one. Let's see how this fares. Serreo tries to get the cut back.
No chance to outbreak the Swift.
Isn't going to happen. No overtaking opportunities through this first sector. I think the Swift is going to pull a slight gap, if anything.
Lucas Wake still in striking distance.
Tom Holland running slightly wide. He's going to stick to the right hand side, makes Freya go the long way round into the next corner, but I think he's going to already have the job done. Yes, he does. Hines slips back into the slipstream.
But these corners are the ones Serreo is struggling the most today. This time he hit it.
Tom Holland.
But the Swift is gaining in slipstream.
Up the hill. This is brilliant racing, just what we want to see. No punting each other off, just pure racing as we go side by side over the brow of the hill. He's going to come out in front. Pine tries to outbreak him. He's going to go around the outside. He has a look. He keeps it there. Side by side. Again over the second brow. Through the final corner. Tom Holland stays ahead.
And now Serreo has the inside line for turn one.
Tom Holland again tries to stick around the outside. Again he does. All the way in that Swift over the front axle. And he can just chuck it into the corners. And now Lucas Wake as well in the equation. And Ashby closing up if anything happens. Last lap, they might get desperate.
Witchell back on pace. So Kubinski not in striking distance.
Bumper to bumper to bumper.
In the final lap.
Serreo the long way round again. It's not going to hurt, but not going to work. I think he's going to wait until the straight. Although, is Ashby going to get all three of them? Let's find out. Tom Holland making that Swift as wide as possible. Let's look at that. Ashby just stormed straight past Lucas Wake.
So Serreo passed him, but now Holland has the slipstream.
He's not close enough. These are
also Ashby passed Wake. So the top three finished. Davison, followed by Witchell, Kubinski, Serreo on P4, Holland on P5, Ashby, Lewis 6. And Wake. So the three privateers.
Like Lucas Wake ran out of fuel over the line.
Oh yes, there's definitely
nothing there.
The car. Van Hart on P9.
Van der Speck and John O'Mills. That's really disappointing from Van der Speck. I'm not sure what's happened to him tonight, but I do hope he comes back next week. Someone's got to stop Tyler Davison. John O'Mills as well, running out of fuel.
Yes.
There we go. Tyler Davison, a dominant victory again over Jake Witchell.
So no doubt who's going to be the driver of the day. Gaining 11 positions, gaining 12 positions. Absolute flawless. I quickly gonna check the Discord if some of the guys who disconnected.
Now we'll quickly make the trip over to Brazil for...
So I think it was Giotto and Lipskamp.
Rolling start set by host. Everything else stays the same. Lovely jubbly. It shouldn't be 14 laps, it should be 13. Let's wait for everyone to join. Now, if anyone missed this race, this was probably the race of the season so far that we're rerunning. Quite just a normal race, I think, up until about the second half. We had, I think it was Slimmy Cam on pole position in the BMW that Tyler Davison is now running, keeping a solid gap up to the guys behind.
So Ricky is asking if you can reserve for Jono, but Jono is in the lobby. Is he?
No, I have a feeling they just left. Yeah, John Mills left.
Right, okay.
I don't see why not. More drivers, isn't it? Just more fun.
So then the pre-sorted grid will change a bit. So that is the top three who would start in Interlagos race 2 are missing, what brings Kubinski on pole.
He's gonna love that, isn't he?
It's Cavern, Mills, Lipskamp, all three left. So it's Kubinski on pole, followed by Lucas Wake, Ashby, Aston Lewis, Tom Holland, Jordo van der Speck.
Oh, you're going too quick. Ashby, Aston Lewis,
Tom Holland, Jordo van der Speck, Ruben Serrao, not Ridwan Hamza, Jake Witchell, Tyler Davison. I mean, these guys know how to do a last to first challenge. And then Stein van Hart.
And then when he joins, it's going to be
Rick Debris.
Another very popular character. I like to have him on the grid. He's good fun, good laugh.
So it should be 12 cars if I'm right.
I have
maybe
a feeling
11.
it's going to be 11.
Yes. Yeah, the
where
prepared
Tom
grid
Lipscombe's
is. Prepared grid was 14 drivers, 4 are not there, and 1 is coming back, so 10 plus 1 is 11. Brilliant that I was in school.
There were a few issues with Netcode that last race. I think Kubinski and
Serrao.
Soraya saying there with it was Ashby as well saying he had a few issues, and that's why I think it was Van Hart who spun around on the pit straight. It's a very tough one to judge with netcode. It's while someone who's been punted off will say that the other driver should receive a penalty, they
I think
can't
it's
then go and
depending
blame
on the
the other
situation.
driver. So
So
it's a very tough one. If it's a minor like bump, then I think it should always just be left. It's just easier. And
I mean, you can also judge if this would have been contact anyways, netcode or not, then it's still a penalty.
yeah,
If it's side-by-side racing in a corner and one car just pops out, we had this in earlier stages.
if they're already alongside and there's contact, then it's so hard to judge. We've had a few issues over the last few seasons with I think there was an incident with Van der Speck at Spa, and I think one of the Team Spirit BMWs a couple of seasons ago. And if there wasn't any lag, if it was just a normal racing situation, I think it was going to be Van der Speck that got the penalty, and as a result he did. And there were plenty of arguments about that.
It is always difficult if you are on the receiving side. Whatever it is,
it's not. Yeah, there's no fair outcome for any of them. Either of them, is there? One or the other. Someone's going to lose regardless.
I think if your mindset comes to the point that you realize that whatever it is, if it was netcode or if it was just stupidity of the other driver, it won't change your race. Whatever it is, you would still be in the gravel. Then you have to sit down on your cheeks.
It's not fair on them, is there?
But now it's racing action.
For the third time. God, I missed this. Back in the GT Sport days, 3 races.
So Kubinski on a surprise pole can bring him a major advantage here for this race.
Away we go, and Lucas Wake gets the run on him, and Ashby gets the run on him, and so on and so forth. The run's not long enough though. Kubinski keeps the lead into turn 1, followed by Lucas Wake, Ashby, Aston Lewis, Tom Holland, Jordan van der Speck, and Ruben Serrao. Jake Rachel finishing out the top 8.
I think no position changes so far.
No one's been close enough yet. And as per usual, it looks as though Tyler Davison and Jake Witchell are close to each other.
Aston Lewis went a bit wide here, might pick up a penalty and had to let Tom Holland pass. Yes, penalty for Lewis.
Witchell trying to run it around the outside of Ruben Serrao. I don't think Ruben's going to let that slide.
Side-by-side action here between Davison and Witchell. There might have been a bit contact between Van Hart and Witchell. I think he received a little push.
And Ashby runs wide out of the final corner, manages to keep it straight, doesn't put it, spin it round.
Catch the car, kept it away from the racing line.
Ruben Serrao making it clear he's staying to the left side of the circuit. Oh no, even fooled me. Early stop from both Ashby and Serrao.
The big undercut.
Tyler Davison pulling the dummy. Gets past Aston Lewis, who just pushes him wide. Then he's not going to be happy with that. Tyler Davison keeps his cool. Jake Witchell sticks his nose in.
As long as he's not receiving a penalty, it doesn't look like it. It's not the biggest time loss, but now
He has a look on the inside of Witchell, bumps him wide. Jake Witchell, he's going to have a look. I know it. He does. Pulls out of it though.
Davison covering the inside.
Oh,
And
Van der
Van der
Speck
Speck
off
wide.
again.
I think the problem is that he's on his wheel, and on the GR4s he's preferring controller. Kubinski already 2.5 seconds clean.
It's always good to see. We do like a bit of an underdog win. It's always very likely opportunity in the reverse grid races, and I think Tom Holland knows that. He's going to help out his team spirit driver.
I think if Tom Holland has the opportunity to go for the win, he will do it. He showed brilliant pace in both races on Interlagos and the Swift.
Lagos is always the best race of the season, isn't it? There's always chaos and all the cars are so evenly matched.
Yeah, you have these absolute long straight, but the super technical second sector. Lewis a bit wide here.
Very wide there, cutting back across. He's going to box in Tyler Davison.
Picked up the 1.5 second penalty.
And look at that, Jake Witchell. Doesn't have to be told twice. Give him a minute to take a mile. Takes both positions.
And also Davison is now ahead of Lewis. Kubinski, fastest guy on track, but Witchell and Davison were in fights for position.
If Kubinski wants that win, he's going to have to pick up the pace. And as soon as I say that, that's the fastest lap of the race, 37.9.
Tom Holland 38.0, so not far behind. A second quicker than Lucas Wake.
I think he's going to start bunching up
Witcher
and
37.8.
Davison.
Van Aert on P6. Now Lewis, Debris in the pits. Ashby already pitted.
Left right now 2.7 seconds. Here we go, look, Witchell and Davison getting closer and closer to the back of that black and chrome Swift of Phantom S's Lucas Wake. We're going to see some team orders.
Move from Witchell
think we
against
are.
Wake.
Convenient that Lucas Wake is now put in between the two. Lucas Wake having a look.
I think we might see the widest Suzuki Swift here, but now Davison
still
with
finds a way
better
around
momentum around the outside. Still in Witchell's slipstream, what was really important on this move, because Witchell is absolutely flying at the moment.
Has a look, and he bumps the back of Davison. He's never going to get that move done. Doesn't seem to impact either of the drivers too significantly, but I think that's going to put a dent in Lucas Wake's confidence and in the back of Tyler Davison's BMW. Kubinski with a 1 second penalty.
And the penalty on Interlagos is absolutely painful. It might bring Tom Holland in striking distance. Tom Holland is also still fighting for the Tom Coronel Trophy. Currently in P4.
Lucas Wake all over the back of Tyler Davison. He is really keeping on him. Pushes him into a mistake. The two cars make contact. I don't think Lucas is going to be too happy about that. He's going to make a lunge. That was a bit fruitless. But way too late, didn't get the car turned in.
Not really fruitless, it is costing Davison at least some time. Time that helps Mitchell. Kubinski in the pits. Good decision, I think, as it's a bit shorter after the penalty.
Kubinski needs to take only fuel, no tyres. That was the quicker strategy, I believe. You see Jake Mitchell now setting a pole first sector.
Fresh tyres for Kubinski. Davison jumped him in the pits by not changing tyres.
It's going to be one thing to catch up to him, but to get past him is going to be a whole other story.
And Cerrillo, after the undercut, should be right on the rear.
Here's a look at that, all over the back of him. He makes himself feel for those mirrors on the TT.
Almost lost the car here.
Squirrely on out of turn 4. So this turns out that I think all eyes now on Jake Witchell. What can he do? Is Tom Holland going to pit? I think Jake Witchell is, as he sticks to the left side of the circuit.
Side-by-side action here between Kubinski and Cerrillo. Kubinski made the switch back. Cerrillo taking the corners a bit wider.
The torque of that big V8 in Lexus is going to put him right up underneath the rear wing of that TT.
He's not gaining that much.
Sticks to the right hand side of the circuit, very silly move, leaves the door wide open on the inside. Is he going to take it? He's not. So is Jake Witchell going to jump him? He is, gets ahead, and stays ahead of Tyler Davison. Kubinski with a 1.5 second penalty. He's really struggling now. I think the chances of that win are now at the door.
And Bender's back on P7, and Aston Lewis, I think he had a disconnect. Don't see a reason for him to quit, and this will cost him a few points in the Tom Coronel Trophy. But also Ashby definitely far away from his pace from week 1. Tom Holland now in the pits. Also Lucas Wake. Will be interesting if they can join the fight between Witchell, Davison, Kubinski and Cerrillo.
Very long pit lane on this track, so let's find out. Neither of the cars neither of them been serviced. Firmly pulling into his stop, taking only fuel.
Cerrillo not able to keep the pace of Witchell and Davison, but jumped Kubinski on his 1.5 second penalty.
I think Tom Holland is going to make it out ahead just of Jake Witchell. Now what's going to happen? Is Tom Holland going to keep that gap, or is he going to let Witchell past?
He's on the overall
championship.
Wake back on track on P4. between Theriot and Davison.
Lucas Wake driving a very impressive race today.
P8 here. Now the attack from Stein van Hart.
Ashby's all over him as well.
Ashby now inside line against Van Hart. Van Hart went wide.
Running wide.
Haven't seen contact here. But brilliant to see that even the guys in the back are fighting for every position.
Every point counts.
Davison now in slipstream range of Witchell. Also Sorreo on Lucas Wake's rear. A half-second gap might be a little too much.
Doesn't seem to be closing the gap all too well, and he's not going to outbreak the Swift into turn one. Here we go.
Ashby,
he's getting a good run
against debris here on the main straight. Debris covering the inside line.
Three squeezes, bit of contact between him, and Ashby very close to the white line there. I've seen a lot of drivers before just hit that white line, touch the grass, and boom,
but
go straight
debris
on.
cut
They won't make
the final part of the chicane. Yeah, that's a penalty for him.
Confirms it. Ashby, he was going to have a look. Rick Debris being very smart, position his car exactly where it needs to be.
Van der Speck really wide here.
Ruben Sorreo, I'm not sure what's just happened there. Just pulls off to the side of the track and stopped.
Seemed like something disconnect from him. 1.5 seconds for Tom Holland. So this penalty will cost him the lead.
Look at that, the gap between Witchell and Davison has dropped again. Almost practically halved now. There's Tom Holland, he pulls off the racing line. There's a look, I think he's going to block Davison. There we go, look. Oh, sneaky, sneaky.
Davison made it.
He knew exactly what was going to happen there. Tom Holland really pushing, look at that, throwing the car into that first corner. I think he's going to get a half second for that. I think he's gotten away with it.
Everything was fine so far.
But now back up to 6/10. And this is where the TT comes into its own. It's tight and twisty middle sector. And there may well be yellow flags as well for the stopped Lexus on the side of the circuit. Yep, there we go. I'm not sure what Sorreo was doing, but he is spoiling what could be an absolutely sensational three-way fight for the lead. But they do move that Lexus.
Yellow flags now for P7, 8 and 9. And Davison closed the gap down to 4/10. I think now he's really feeling the tire advantage.
Gets a bit squirrely, touches the grass on the exit. Tom Holland now into the equation. What can he do?
I think he's now losing time. At least he's not gaining. But the Swift is brilliant on the brakes. There's the disconnect of Sorreo.
A bit of contact. Davison touching the back of Witchell's TT.
Yeah, game crash for Sorreo.
Witchell now with a 1 second penalty. Is he blocking Tyler Davison? A few words are going to be said with the stewards. Well, me for that one. Tom Holland now, chasing him, hunting him down. Is he going to go for a dive? He might well be close enough. Let's find out. He has a look. Contact with Tyler Davison. He makes the move. Davison, I think he's
Davison can
going to stick his
counter.
nose in. Alpine's got the inside line. He's just got to park the bus. And Jake Witchell's now up there too.
Oh yeah, this penalty costs a lot.
Really dropping back 3 seconds.
So this one should be decided between Davison and Holland.
Let's find out. And he's going to have a look round the outside. All Pine has to do is park the bus. Make Davison go the long way round. But he knows that. Look at that, going straight to the inside of the circuit. And he runs wide. Is he going to get penalty?
I think so. If there wasn't contact, this should bring Tom Holland the penalty.
And there
yes,
we go,
there
look,
it is.
half a second. Fine, runs wide. Almost cutting him off.
Inside line here for Davison.
Tom Holland's going to try to get the switch back. He's got the run. There we go, and he runs it onto the grass. He's not going to have any turning now. The advantage of the swift pass is gone, and he's given himself another half a second. Doesn't look like anyone tonight has been able to touch Tyler Davison.
And with the disconnect of Ruben Serré, this might bring Tyler Davison the lead of the championship.
That could well be the case. Theoretically, after this one, not missing only one race of the season. And if it is a disconnect, he's looks like Serré is still going to earn points for P10. I'm still not sure whether that's going to be enough for him. Look at that, the trio of Team Spirit drivers, P2, 3 and 4. Jake
And
Witchell,
Serré cheering for Tom Holland in the chat.
Dominik Kubinski, all three of them went up against Tyler Davison, and none of them could beat him. Even without Ridwan Hamza
on his way
racing.
to 3 out of 3 tonight. Also Jake Witchell, good points for the team and for himself in the championship. And I think Tom Holland will bring the 3rd position home.
Very solid race in this 3rd time out. I don't know where his pace was in the races at Rail Atlanta, but
I mean, Witchell and Davison weren't there, and those who weren't there, I think the track fits him. He was quick at week 1. Tyler Davison and Jake Witchell running out of fuel.
Don't think so. I think he was just letting Tom Holland past.
There's a few left.
Still a few drops left. Tyler Davison for F1 Racing, regardless of whether Ridwan Hamza's here or not, they are just absolutely dominating like we saw last season.
So really interesting maneuver. Maybe also Team Spirit is watching on the Tom Coronel Trophy, and with the disconnect of Lewis and a not perfect result here for Ashby. Maybe this was a decision that Tom Holland can gain a lot of points here on them. So P2 for Tom Holland, best privateer.
And it's going to be Van Hart and Ashby, 7th and 8th overall.
Van Hart, one race down.
Very, very entertaining set of races though tonight, I think. Regardless of Davison defeating everyone and just demolishing them.
But he did it on an interesting and good way to watch.
Yeah, it was always something to watch, wasn't there, regardless of who it was. So there's always something happening on track.
Yeah, so
everyone.
I think there's no doubt who's driver of the day today.
None at all. I think it's definitely Tyler Davison.
The only one who was really flawless. Mitchell had his moments. I think Davison had one moment in race 1, Road Atlanta, when he lost the car, I think.
Well, sometime, but then Jake Mitchell did too. So one person made a mistake, another person did, and it just sort of balanced itself out, and they were back to square one.
Definitely. And
I don't think there was anyone else close enough to catch him either.
After these 3 races, I think the 3 championships we have getting really, really close together.
Definitely, it's going to spice things up for the next race. I think this ends our tour of the Americas, as we've now got. We'll go over to Europe. I have a feeling it's the Red Bull Ring. I'll be able to double check. Let's find out.
I think Red Bull Ring and then Lago Maggiore. I think next
Red
week
Bull
we're
Ring
gonna...
and then Catalonia. And there may be a few drops of rain at Red Bull Ring. Never know.
We hope so.
It's going to be a good one, isn't it? Always good fun to race.
Yeah, I like the dynamic weather. It's absolutely brilliant.
The last time we saw it, it was absolute chaos. Don't know whether it was last season or it was the season before.
It was the season before when everyone except Holland, Shaheen, Sareo and Van der Speck started on softs.
Soft tyres when it was pouring with rain.
But yeah, I don't get. I watched or I did the comms for ALR last Monday on Nordschleife, and the game is almost out for a year, and the weather thing hasn't changed, but people still don't know that the weather of the practice is copying for the race. And we had Nordschleife, a fucking 20 kilometers long track, and 12 out of 14 drivers started on mediums or softs, while 2 were smart enough to did their qualifying on intermediates.
I think Red Bull Ring is bad enough in the wet, but the Nordschleife on soft tyres, I'd straight DNF. I don't think I could be bothered to do a lap on soft.
I mean, we had this Nordschleife experience with the dangerous yellow cloud, I think in the Alphas last season on the finale. And I remember Sareo with me on the track, who was, oh come on, it's a 4-wheel drive, I can do it on softs. It worked. Nah, it worked. It worked. He won the race, but he was quite confident on this. But yeah, it's. I think the only thing that is missing still in the game is that tire wear. I love the way that it's not like in GT Sport when the tires were on screen 20% done. They were absolutely for the trash can, but the way that
there's still some life left in them, isn't there? With 35% of it left to go, and
but especially on GR3s or on cars with higher downforce than GR4s, you're just losing on an average track like 3 or 4 seconds if they are completely gone, and this is not enough to. I mean, we see in several leagues that people are doing their strategy with completely gone tires, because it's quicker to stay out on them for 2 laps than doing an extra stop. No, Ricky, you don't need to send incidents to me. There's a ticket tool. So, but we could talk about move of the week. I think Lucas Wake has his case on Road Atlanta. The double overtake against Serrao when he absolutely nailed it. I think it was Wake. Or was it Lipscomb?
Oh, so much happened. I can't even keep track. I'm gonna have to have a look back on them. But what a chaos! I think definitely a lot of opportunity for overtake of the day. I think there was Soraya did a nice little dummy into turn 1 and at Interlagos, but whether that counts as overtake of the day, if that's a race from 2 weeks ago, technically, but
It's still in the same day.
But yeah.
No, really great action on track again. And
same as always, I think this season is becoming one for history books, isn't it? I think it's gonna come close to, is it season 5 or season 6? 4 of us fighting for the championship in the last race.
It's really depending on the attendance. So, like always, if Witcher, like last season, has to miss a few more races, then he's definitely out of the run, because Serrao and especially Davison are not looking like they are starting to do average P7s. But also the spicy fight for the Privateers trophy. And overall, I think we see much cleaner racing. I think even if there's
definitely
always incidents, that it is touring car racing, we will always have this. And I think we had only last week the incident between Lewis and Ashby that looked on the first view pretty dirty, but on the second view,
it was
when
actually
we had
just lag, wasn't it?
The ghosted car.
Aston still should have. I think you still should have come out of that.
Yes.
It's
always a risk for your It's a risk for your own race if you're pulling into a ghosted car, because you never know what happens if it's unghosted. But yeah, on the first view on stream, it looked like, yeah, if there was a bit intentional pulling into another car, because for us Ashby wasn't ghosted, but as we saw the replay of Lewis, it still not looked okay. He still got a 5 seconds penalty for it, but the bad intention was gone. It was more like a bit less awareness. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Red Bull Ring. I think a track where the front-wheel driven cars might have an advantage if the straights are not too long.
I think it's going to be quite similar to. I don't think it's going to be too close to Interlagos with the long straights and the tiny corners, but you're still going to have those a few where you're going to try and get a good exit. And the front-wheel drive cars, they've always got that good turn-in. They're going to get to the apex quicker, but whether they can get out as fast as the rear-wheel drive cars, then I don't think they can.
Ruben is still on the stream. I laughed when Sutter said on Road Atlanta Race 2, both Halex car on last. And hearing Sig being like, yeah. Yes, of course, I can't hide it. I don't like to see both of my drivers on the last positions, but yeah, I think they both made good comebacks. I know that for Van der Spek it was today a bit difficult, as he left his controller at his mom and had to drive on the wheel. But yeah, and Serrao was a disconnect in the end. But yeah, shit happens.
Yeah, as it goes.
And I definitely prefer a good fight till the end of the championship instead of having something like 2 seasons ago when Aaron and Pekka just shredded through the grid.
And then, yeah, me and Witchell, I think we came in a bit too late, didn't we? Too late to stop
Yes,
them.
your love to the Scirocco. You need a few dates till you found out that you love this girl. Yeah, and Witchell joined late. Also Soreo, they didn't made all the races.
But yeah, I think that's everything for tonight then, isn't it?
Yes, I think same time next week. A bit
Same time
shorter.
next week, definitely.
Because everything works
Fingers
tonight.
crossed.
Let's keep this going. So have a good night, everyone. Especially Ruben. I think you're the lone one left in the stream. And yeah, see you next week.